Hello, and welcome to the last CHIRP Bulletin of 2017, and indeed, my last as the Director Maritime. We're lucky enough to be able to bring you our latest reports, filmed here on board HMS Victory, Nelson's last command and still serving the Royal Navy as flagship of the First Sea Lord. Being here is a reminder of how important safety at sea was in the days of wooden ships under sail. Since then, the type of risks have changed, but a good safety culture is just as important today. The threat to safety of life should always be forefront in the minds of seafarers and management teams ashore. Today, we discuss safety lessons learned from reports on attempted armed robbery, more issues relating to pilot boarding, and a reminder for viewers of our deadly dozen approach to analysing safety reports.
A vessel was drifting outside port limits off the coast of Vietnam. 4 fishing boats were observed approaching, 2 from astern and 2 on the port bow. The 2 astern boats hailed the ship and asked if there were any scrap items aboard. The officer of the watch deduced, correctly, that this was a distraction and asked the boatswain to check forward. Sure enough, 5 pirates were seen boarding with knives and attempting to force access into the forecastle. The general alarm was sounded, whereupon the pirates fled both the ship and the scene. Fortunately, nothing was taken, and all the crew was safely accounted for.
Plainly, the planning for this eventuality worked well, with the boatswain reporting the attempted crime from a safe place and the crew mustering in response to the general alarm. That shows the merit of having a security plan, with all knowing their roles in response to a threat. However, it's important to stress that such plans should be tailored to the part of the world a ship finds herself. As sadly, this incident is but one of many being reported from South America and into the Far East. Plans should involve ISPS compliance, best management practice, and intelligence reports on shipboard security. Be aware and be ready is the key.
A familiar theme now for CHIRP News, safety, or the lack of it, in pilot boarding. We have 2 reports. The first concerns a new build ship constructed in the Far East. As can be seen from the picture, when light, the cutaway of the ship's quarter made disembarkation very difficult for the pilot, with the last metre of the ladder not flush with the hull. In fact, the ship had to be ballasted down to enable the pilot to get away. The pilot boat was also forced to operate under the counter. All in all, a major design issue affecting this class of ship.
CHIRP is pleased to report that the company in question provided a very full response to our inquiries. They accepted that there was a serious fault in the design of the ship and immediately instructed the yard building the last of the class of 5 being made for them to modify the design of the pilot access. She will now have a second pilot ladder within the midship half length of the ship. More than that, all other ships of the class have been supplied with the equipment and parts needed to modify their vessels too. An excellent and timely response from this company, for which they're to be commended. But shipyards, designers, class and flag states will be well advised to consult the International Maritime Pilots Association's Guidance for Naval Architects, which will help them steer clear of serious errors like this.
Our second pilot transfer case is a matter of sheer sloppiness on board the vessel concerned. A chaotic situation around the pilot ladder presented itself on boarding, with man ropes spliced at the lower ends, a bowed spreader, and loose steps. Attempts to warn about this mess were hampered by the fact that the bridge team had a very limited command of the language of the sea, which is, of course, English.
This arrangement, if it can be so called, was extremely hazardous and in flagrant contravention of SOLAS Regulation 23, which stresses the importance of safe pilot embarkation and disembarkation and proper instruction and supervision for personnel working on pilot transfers. It was very clear that none of this was in place for this ship. Apart from anything else, the man ropes seemed to have been rigged upside down.
When it comes to man and machine, however sophisticated and safe the equipment in use, it's the human element that matters most. So CHIRP News thought that for the last of this year's bulletins, we'd take a look at human factors leading to near misses that could have ended in disaster. Here they all are, in no particular order, as in the final analysis, each one of them is as important as the other.
A first trip deckhand's first go at mooring had him actively tending ropes and cables, but he should have been mentored until experienced enough to engage in mooring operations.
A bunker tank nearly overflowed when the engineer overseeing the operation left to answer an engine room alarm. A dangerous oversight. Proper planning would have freed up personnel in order to prevent this near miss.
A lower forepeak space required cleaning. The supervisor asked for everything to be made ready in half an hour when he would return. On his return, personnel were already working inside the compartment without an entry permit. He hadn't told them he tested the compartment and they hadn't understood the correct procedure.
An oiler taking daily tank soundings walked under a crane that was in use for storing operations. He couldn't have been aware of his surroundings, or else he would never have stepped under a crane with a load. But who had the forethought to stop him? Sunglasses were used instead of safety goggles during deck scaling maintenance. That's the way we've always done it around here, is what you often hear in such cases. If so, the safety culture on board and ashore needs to change and lead on to changes in the way people think.
A supervisor became involved in a mooring operation after several port calls in as many days, with all the associated work that brings. A wearing, tiring series of operations. Tired people make mistakes, and in any case the supervisor should have stuck to supervising and not got involved in the work itself.
Thank you to all those whose safety consciousness brought us these reports. But does any of it sound familiar? If so, all on board and shore management need to improve and develop teamwork so that unsafe practices are challenged and proper planning always carried out, which in turn reduces the chances of any crew member becoming overloaded with too many tasks.
And remember, it's often not just one near miss. It can be a mix of several. Think about what you've been asked to do, where you have to do it, and what you're going to do with it to develop awareness. And bring any near misses and the human element they reveal up at safety committee meetings. It's what they're for. And just think how you'd feel if you didn't speak up and an accident happened as a result.
I'd like to sign off for this year, and from CHIRP News myself, with a touch of pride in some news about us. The CHIRP Charitable Trust was named the Best Safety Service of the Year at the 2017 Safety at Sea Awards. Winning the award is a source of immense pride and satisfaction for all those involved in the work of this charitable trust. It is recognition of the important need to share the lessons learned from reports, which in turn will help every seafarer return home safely to their family and loved ones after every voyage that they take. Please continue to send in your reports on mobile phone, tablet or computer with documents, photos, videos or audio. These can easily be added to your submission. and we reply to every single report we receive. Wherever you are in the world, wishing you fair weather sailing and stay safe.